Corey Holcomb has been in the news for...
he's always in the news.
Yeah, he's always in the news
with Corey. He real.
Yeah. Corey is definitely one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah, he stand on business.
Corey's staying beef, though. But
is it really beef or just got something to say? He's speaking on his platform and got something to say about what he's talking about or what somebody's asking him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So is it beef on his behalf or it just they feel it some type of way because he might be talking to them?
So basically, let me give you a little backstory. There was some back and forth between Joe Budden podcast and Corey Holcomb responded. A discussion in regards to a interview Corey did on the Cam Newton podcast, I believe Funky Fridays.
Mm-hmm. That was it?
Yeah.
Will Smith and Jada, they've been open about they have an open relationship.
But Will like guys.
Huh?
Will like guys.
How you know?
I live in LA. Does that make sense to you?
No.
I live in Los Angeles. There's a lot of opportunities I don't get because the guys don't want me to see them with their boyfriends.
And in that podcast, Corey mentioned Will Smith being of Backdooria Nation, which is Corey's term for you figure it out. But you can figure it out. But basically, that was kind of the premise. Joe Budden's podcast got a hold, I guess, of the video a couple weeks later and decided to give their response on it, and that's where this clip begins.
The thing, old people don't give a I don't think that old people stigma applies to Corey Holcomb, and that don't mean I'm selective.
You feel the same way about Patti LaBelle when she out of Luther?
To Imani's
Do you
point,
feel the same way about Patti LaBelle when it came to Luther?
I didn't know that it was an uproar. I learned that here with y'all. I didn't see nothing wrong. Y'all taught me.
He stood down on that point when he found out that. Yeah, that's true. He stood down on that point once he realized the dynamics. I'm looking at Terrence Howard do something very similar.
All of that.
The Diddy.
All of that. To me,
wait, how is that similar?
Another example of Diddy didn't do him. True. Even if I believe everything Terrence Howard said, and I do, he said Diddy might have tried to hit.
It's an assumption.
Wait, what?
It's his assumption of what he think Diddy was planning to do with him. Nothing ever happened.
It is. They are both
the same way Corey is assuming to be blackballed in the business because of whatever.
Terrence Howard.
No, we're not playing.
I don't think it's gonna, let me land. I don't think it's so uncommon for somebody to be in an interview and say, that tracks. This was my experience when I went over this. I don't think that's the same as Corey Holcomb saying, I'm not getting gigs.
Here's why it doesn't track.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Get the out of here.
Isn't this the same thing as what Cat Williams said in that interview with in Club Shay Shay?
Yeah. What is the difference?
There's no difference, and everybody celebrated him for that.
Yeah, so that was the first clip from Joe Budden's podcast, basically discussing Corey Holcomb's critique of Will Smith on Cam Newton's podcast. So Corey decided to shoot back on Tuesday with his response on the 5150 show. I got that queued up.
Like Joe Budden's, he mentioned about that Cam Newton thing when I was on Cam Newton, and I said, or I alluded to Will Smith on the Backdooria side of the game.
Yeah.
Joe Budden's feels like I was telling when I mentioned Will Smith on the Backdooria side of the game.
Like telling his business?
Like he said, that's snitching. If a man gets penetrated by a man or is penetrated by a man and I say something about that business, I don't feel like that's snitching. Any perverted acts that go on in the community, I feel like, once that is put out there as it would be snitching if I was to say, this is how I know.
We all move here to try to make it. Some of us already were here. We were fooled to believe if you work hard and you are talented that you have a shot at making it. And I think that normal heterosexual men have a right to be publicly outraged if you have to be that way to make it. That is not fair. That is not good business. That is not just. If you have to be gay or get it in the booty or whatever you call it to go to another level, why is it not publicly stated? When people operate in secrecy, it's to maintain control of something that is corrupted. I have a right to speak on anything that is corrupted by unjust, and I won't even say ungodly because I don't know what everybody believes in. But if that's the factor, just say it. Don't ain't talented enough.
Said what? Budden admitted to being backdooria?
I don't know.
April M says that. Listen, that's what I want to ask these people. Do I have to be at war with you to ask you, have you ever been penetrated or penetrated a man in any way? Do I have to be at war with you to ask that? Well, because I want to ask the brother Joe Budden's that. I want to ask a lot of people that, because we're getting to the point in society, we can't keep hiding this. There's a lot of people who would have no idea about Joe Budden's that way.
And that was Corey's giving his response to what Joe Budden's podcast had to say. And Corey offered to have a debate with the Joe Budden's podcast, which I hope they do accept.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, because I want to see that.
He ain't gonna do it though.
Why do you think they won't do
Corey will destroy him.
Well,
because the simple fact is, Budden said something real key. He said he was once thinking like how Corey was. Mm-hmm. He said up there on the clip, he said, y'all taught me that. So when he first started podcast with them, with his rest of the crew, he was like Corey, and they had to check him. Mm-hmm. And for him to coexist amongst them, he had to change his view on that. And if he had engaged in that behavior pattern and stuff like that, then that's another term. But he said it out his mouth. He said, y'all taught me that. So that means he was thinking like Corey or portraying that like how Corey was thinking until he got around his cast members and they changed his view.
So you're saying they influenced him to be more accepting of gays or to practice?
Probably both.
Both.
Probably both. If you can take, it's nothing more rewarding if you can take a masculine man and change his viewpoint to your viewpoint to where it's not deemed quote unquote acceptable. You feel what I'm saying? That's one of the ultimate most mind you can possibly do when you can change a masculine man's viewpoint into the other way. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's almost like a man dominating a woman in the bed. You feel what I'm saying? The thinking of that, and she's reciprocating because either she's engaging how you want her to, or she's saying it loudly to where she's stroking your ego. That's how it's almost feel like that.
Yeah. So that's the thing with the entertainment industry. One thing I do see a lot of people criticize Corey about is the fact that he always is talking about this. But I always tell people, you don't live in the world of Hollywood in the entertainment industry. Right. Most of us work 9 to 5 in corporate America. Yeah, we don't have to worry about doing things like that
to get ahead,
to get
certain parts. And
stuff
I've
like never been in a position where I've had to compromise my body or even been asked to do that,
or compromise my manhood.
Yeah,
just so I can get a bigger
opportunity.
Role.
So it's a world very foreign to the majority of us who work in corporate America. So when you see, for us heterosexual men in corporate America. Because I've had gay co-workers, gay bosses, and there's never been a situation like that where they've put me in a situation where I felt like that. They was always professional.
You're a big
well, yeah, that too.
And on top of that, you look like I ain't no.
Yeah, well, that is true. I mean,
if you came off like you was playful, and you probably play a little handsy with them.
Oh no, I don't do it.
No, I ain't saying
you. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
If you engage in some type of behavior like that, I can get him.
Now, Corey did mention that in the previous podcast. He said they do try it only on certain people they feel
they can get away with
get away with it. So Yeah, sometimes it is your aura. Sometimes people try you just to try.
Yeah, you can. If you, it's all about how you carry yourself.
Yeah,
I know I give off that aura like he's mean.
Yeah,
and that's good because if you got some bullshit, you know you ain't
gonna
exactly. You gonna keep it moving.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to keep your head down and mind your business, and that way people kind of give you your space, leave you alone. So but I definitely see why Corey puts this in perspective, because in his world, that type of behavior
costs him money.
Yeah, it can cost you money. It can take you to places you've never been.
Right.
If you're willing to compromise yourself. So yeah, that struggle in Hollywood as an entertainer and guarding your booty, it's a big deal. And like Cat Williams, like Melissa Ford mentioned in the Joe Budden clip, you know, Cat Williams was kind of celebrated for exposing Diddy in that regards. And you know,
is he exposing Diddy though? I mean, because again,
this was all before the scandal, right? The FBI. So
right, what I'm saying is he really exposing Diddy? Because again, we was hearing about this 20 plus years ago.
Oh yeah,
I was in my early 20s. You feel what I'm saying? So these Diddy parties has been going on for decades.
Yeah,
he just one of the few most famous ones that's actually came out and talked about it, and he was actually there. You know what I'm saying? Because most of it ain't too many people that talk about Diddy parties.
Yeah. Well, the actual party I've actually heard plenty of people talk about. I didn't know about the freak-offs.
We're talking about
the freak-offs are separate from the parties.
Right, exactly. So again, so he participated in the freak-offs.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to say. So he's one of the few people that was part of that indulged in some of the freak-offs and was famously that can put credit on what was already been discussed for decades. That's all. It's in my opinion, it's being relitigated by cancel culture.
Yeah, so you're saying cancel culture is just trying to bring stuff up to get people canceled?
It pretty much. Because the thing about it is, if something happened 20 plus years ago, and then within those decades, nobody had a problem with it.
Yeah, so I think it's people like Corey who are speaking out against this kind of thing going on in Hollywood where men are being forced to compromise themselves.
Their sexuality. And I also want to say this too.
Yeah.
And especially for people, and this is why I say history is very important. The liberties that you have today, in which right now they're being actually challenged in front of our faces right now, because when we were coming up, certain things you just couldn't talk about, you just couldn't express, because it would have fucked your career up, or you'd been blackballed. Now, with today's laws and stuff like that, you're able and you're protected to talk freely about certain things. So what probably happened 20 to 60 years ago, you couldn't talk like how you're talking now, because you probably wouldn't even live long enough to even have an even issue with it about it. You feel what I'm saying? So this is where, again, history is very important. Cancel culture, you need to understand different generations, different decades, people don't have the freedom to talk freely and move freely in a quote unquote PC way. That's it.
No, I feel what you're saying. Yeah, so Corey is just one of those few people.
He just speaking on it. He's speaking on it like, look, I ain't out here. Yeah. He's like, look, I get it out the mud.
Yeah. So this is an interesting, I guess, back and forth. Now,
if it was a woman that said it, would we be pushing back on it?
If a woman said what? Which part?
That she had, in order for her to get ahead, she had to sleep with executive or movie directors.
Well, I think that's been normalized.
We know it's normalized now, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping for is for Corey, or well, more so for the Joe Budden podcast, to take that invite so we can hopefully see a good debate and see different viewpoints, especially Mark Lamont Hill, who was on the Budden podcast, because I know he and Corey have had some back and forth in the past on social media. So Hopefully, we'll get some good content out of it, some good discussions, and take it from there.
Yeah, when a man speak on something, you know, we got to hear him out. So
yeah. But I definitely understand Corey's viewpoint. This is one of the few times where I understand everybody's viewpoint and where they're coming from, except Joe Budden. I don't really believe it's snitching to out somebody because I view it like, is it outing somebody if you tell them you smashing women? You know, I don't look at it as.
Is it snitching when somebody's stealing your money or your opportunity because you won't compromise your morality?
Yeah, that too.
You know what I'm saying? So, bottom line, he talking about his livelihood is being affected because he ain't compromising his morality.
Yeah, and I do agree. It's only shameful if you got something to hide.
Right. Yeah. Those who the loudest is usually one that's doing something or involved.
Tell people, live your truth. You sleep better at night.
And besides, it's not like you're gonna get blackballed. You celebrate it now.
Yeah, that is true.
So if you doing what you doing, is it really snitching?
No. It's helping that get some money, apparently.
Right. Is that's all you doing? Some more gay. I'm supposed to say that? No. Some more other roles will come over.
Yeah.